Hey guys, this is Austin, and today I'm here with the top 5 worst phones ever. So last week I did the top 5 worst laptops, and a lot of you really liked that video and wanted me to do more, so today I'm going to go over some of the worst phones that have ever been made. Coming in at number 5 is the BlackBerry Storm from 2008. Now this was a very different time. The iPhone had only been out for about a year or so, and a lot of the other manufacturers were slowly starting to catch up. So for starters, the screen was based on an older type of technology called resistive. It also used a brand new thing called SurePress. In theory, it sounds pretty good. When you touch the screen, it actually goes inside the phone just a little bit, which gives you a feeling that you're actually touching something in real life. Unfortunately, it mostly felt like you were breaking the screen on the phone, and in general, it just did not work at all. On top of that, the BlackBerry OS was really not designed for a touchscreen, and the fact that it lacked a feature as simple as Wi-Fi made the Storm not only a failure, but at least in my opinion, one of the major reasons why RIM is in such trouble today. At number 4, we have the Motorola Rocker E1 from 2005. Now this one has a very interesting backstory. It was a Motorola collaboration with Apple, and in fact, if you wanted to, you could almost call this the very first iPhone. Sort of. Back in September of 2005, Steve Jobs walked out on stage at the annual Apple event and announced this rocker phone. While I'm sure it was great to ditch your iPod and play all your awesome iTunes music on your phone, unfortunately it had some major problems. For one, it was limited to 100 songs, regardless of how much storage space you actually had on the phone. Couple that with the fact that it was basically a normal Motorola phone with a slightly iPod-like interface, and sales did not do too well, leading Apple and Motorola to break up, and Apple went on to make some other phones that were slightly better. Coming in at number 3 is the Kyocera Echo from 2011. Now this was, from the start, a very weird phone. Basically, the idea was, hey, one screen is good on a phone, so why not have two? So that's what they did. So there was a normal 3.5-inch display up front, but with a hinge you could pull it out, and instead of finding a keyboard, you would find another 3.5-inch display. Now it wasn't all bad. Once you put the screens together, it was actually like having a 4.7-inch tablet in your pocket. Unfortunately, the app support was absolutely non-existent, thanks to the fact that it was running a pretty much standard build of Android 2.2. When you put the not too useful second screen away, what you were left with was a very thick and bulky phone that had the screen offset to the left side, which made it look very weird when you didn't have that second display out. On top of that, battery life was terrible. In fact, just to explain how bad the battery life was, they included 2 batteries in the box when you bought it. Not a good sign. Coming in at number 2 is the Nokia N-Gage from 2003. Basically what this was a normal Nokia phone mixed with something like a Game Boy Advance to create a phone that you could carry around all day but also play some games on. Sound familiar? Unfortunately, there were quite a few problems with the N-Gage, and yes, I have one. Don't judge me. So for starters, Nokia announced that in the first 2 weeks of being on sale, they shipped over 400,000. That sounds pretty good, right? Except when someone actually looked into it, they had shipped 400,000. But as far as how many people actually bought them, only 5,000 were sold in the United States and about 800 in the United Kingdom. Oops. Amazingly enough, because of this, not a whole lot of games ever actually showed up. So instead of being able to download them, you actually had to buy the physical cards, which looked basically like SD cards. Now the big problem was that when you actually wanted to change games, you had to shut the phone off, pull the back panel off, take the battery out, and then slide the card in behind the battery. As if all of this wasn't bad enough, the N-Gage was actually not a very good phone either, as to actually be able to hear what the other person was saying and make a proper call, you kind of needed to hold it up to your ear like this, which quickly gave it the nickname the Taco Phone. So suffice it to say, the Taco Phone didn't last too long on the market. Coming in at number 1 is the Microsoft Ken. Now this was supposed to be a big deal for Microsoft, as they spent over $1 billion developing the pair of phones. However, after a record 48 days on sale, they were discontinued. Yeah, you heard me right, after 48 days and spending $1 billion, Microsoft goes, yeah, never mind. So how did this massive meltdown happen? Well, these really were not meant to be smartphones. Instead, they were meant to be more for texting and that kind of thing, as they really lacked a lot of things like a calendar app, being able to IM, and even an app store. Pretty much what you got was what you got. Even with all these problems, you were expected to pay for it like a smartphone. So Verizon required a data plan, and with the pricing being $50 to $100 on a 2-year contract, you could get a much more capable smartphone for that same money. So all of this combined made the Ken not only one of the worst phones ever, but also one of the hugest flops in all of phones pretty much period. Anyway, I'm curious to know, what's the worst phone that you guys have ever used? Definitely be sure to let me know in the comments below. If you guys are interested in more, feel free to check out the last week's episode where I went over the top 5 worst laptops of all time. If you guys enjoyed, definitely be sure to leave this video a thumbs up, and if you're interested in more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. Anyway guys, I will catch you next time.